And so today I'm going to provide you some talk and some on countering misinformation on social media platforms. Some curiosities about myself. My complete name is Johnnatan Messias Peixoto Afonso. I know it's a huge name. And so basically, I use on my articles just Johnnatan Messias, okay? And some background on my previous history. So basically, I got my my bachelor degree from UFOP, Federal University of Ouro Preto, and so I did my master's in computer science as well from Federal University of Minas Gerais, UFMG, and right now I'm working and studying at MPI SWS and also University of Saarland in Germany, and I'm also involved with blockchains, more precisely on transaction commit times on blockchain. So if you want to discuss afterwards about blockchains as well, I will be really happy. And so my current interest are blockchains in my PhD, and so I also have worked in a bunch of projects before involving social computing and mobile computing as well. By the way, guys, feel free to use your cell phones because I also include some URLs in my presentation, and there will be a lot of QR codes, so feel free to point. If you have an iPhone, and just open your camera and you'll be able to also follow the link, okay? I have some works. You can also check on my webpage, and you'll be able to find all my papers for free. Because there are some venues that they charge people to open, to access those papers. It does not make any sense for me. Cool. So my research history starts with this paper. This was my first published paper when I investigated whether it would be easy or not to make a bot influence in Twitter. As you might see, it was published in 2013, so 7 years ago. I was working on that project, and so this paper got really got a lot of attentions, and so for example the New York Times, the Huffington Post, Washington Post, and a lot of newspapers and also TV channels on the world talked about this study, and so it was really wonderful to see the thing that we got. However, at the same time, it was really scared because, come on, in 2013 we were studying what could be also the implications and the use of bots on social media networks. And I don't need to tell you what is going on nowadays, right? Bots are being used to manipulate elections and a lot of things. So this is scary. And by the way, please feel free to ask questions on the fly and also to make comments. This is a masterclass. It's not a conference talk, so yeah, feel free. And just some results about this paper. We created two bots, Fê Pessoinha and Ask Karina. By the way, this was the sister of one of our authors in the paper, and both of them allowed us to use their images, by the way. And so we created those bots, and basically, as Karina got some attention and some influence based on some two well-known, at least at that time, those servers, let's say Cloud and Twitteralizer, they were being used for some researchers and also some newspapers to measure how a user is influenced on social media platform. And so we came up with some methodologies to actually measure that thing, okay? And we showed that our bots, they got a lot of influence. If you compare with Luciano Huck, it's really famous man in Brazil. And so the only difference is that as Karina also interacts with users automatically in 2013. And have you ever heard about Arnaldo César Coelho and And for example, there are a lot of famous people in Brazil that also talk to our bot. Can you believe that? It was like funny and scary. So also a little bit more curiosity. I'm currently reading this book. I've been reading this book and I really recommend you to read it. How Not to Be Wrong, The Power of Mathematical Thinking by Jordan Ellenbeck. He was the Bill Gates math teacher, and this book helps people to understand calculus, to understand a lot of math in a simpler way, and it was wonderful because it makes things easier for me. And it also contains a lot of examples in a daily life, for example, and you can connect somehow with your present, with your daily life. One thing that the book also mentioned as an example is the Baltimore stockbroker. Have you ever heard about this thing? Does anyone? Cool. So here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. Imagine the following situation. You want to invest in a stock market, right? And you just got a letter that says, hey, you should invest in, let's say, in Apple stock because tomorrow it will goes up. On the next day, you checked and it really was up. On the next day, you get a new letter. It says, hey, you should remove your investment from Google because it goes down. And on the other day, it goes down. And so you keep receiving those letters. And let's say you got 10 letters and all of them were true. It actually happened. And now the sender would, let's say, require some payment from you in order to get the 11th letter. Would you like to pay? Would you pay, by the way? If you would like to pay, could you raise your hands and tell me why? Did you get the idea?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I would pay, but only if I decided to get the letter, if I decide to trust you, because for whatever reason, then you send me the 3 letters, and then I would be very likely to, I refer the next.
So,
Because I had a hypothesis, proved it, and then
okay, so we are talking about probabilities, right? So I got 10 letters that said that actually the things that were written there happened. So what's the probability that the next one will happen, right? I can say I would never put my money there. And this is a classical selection bias experiment. For example, you don't have any information about the population. You just have a biased sample, right? Let me tell you right now how it happens. Suppose I have 10,000 people that I want to send letter. For half of them, I will send, hey, it goes up. For the other 5,000, it goes down. And so for half of my experiment, it will happen, right? And I keep doing that until I reach just a small sample that actually it will happen. In the 11th letter, half again it will happen and the other half will not happen, right? And so you have 50% chance, right? It's random, so it's like a classical selection bias. And we have to take care, right, in our experiment about this kind of thing. So, by the way, this is a URL to Amazon, but I think it's from Germany, so feel free to also search for it. Okay, cool. And yeah, we have to think outside of the box, right? We have to at least try to estimate or at least try to make sure what could be any information of our population, because sometimes we are doing experiments and we just got lucky, right? And so regarding misinformation, there are two things here. On the past, we also had misinformation, fake news, right? Even before the internet. We had rumors, for example. But here's the difference. Before, those contents, those news articles, were produced and shared by professional journalists. So you could rely more. And also, there were a limited number of media sources. Let's say newspapers and magazines, right? There were not internet. And also, there were people specialized to check those news, and it was feasible, right? You could check. You don't have, let's say, tens of thousands new articles every day or every minute, I don't know. But nowadays, users are also the producers. They also produce content on social media and post and share on social media platforms. Also, there is a potential, I mean, the amount of social media networks that we have here, and also a lot of the amount of users that are posting every day new content, let's say factual content or fake news content, it's enormous. So there are a lot of things, and it's almost impossible to check all of them. So we have to come up with some methodology to at least try to mitigate misinformation on social media platforms. For example, I think Brazilians will know more about this kind of rumor. In my childhood, there were the black car rumors that were kidnapping people, I mean children. And so when I saw a car parked next to me, I just run, because come on, I will be kidnapped and something like that. Children. And so it was a rumor, but it's not like, you see later on this presentation some bad rumors that also killed people. And also about two things that I love, mango and milk, and why can I mix them together, right? It's like, is that true? Is that false? My grandma, she used to tell me this, hey, you can never do this. And come on, I was curious, why? And she just explained to me, you can't. And so, why? You can't. Okay, there is no explanation. What is going on, right? And so, and about the future and also the present, we have currently fake images, right? So let me ask you one thing. Which one you think is a true person? The left, could you, if you think that's left, could you raise your arm? Cool. Right?
The right is the fake. The right is the fake.
And the left is the true?
I think both.
Okay. Who don't know? Who doesn't know anything? May I ask you why? I mean, you don't want to try, or it's like you are... Yeah. By the way, both of them are fake. So, and for example, you can also check this website. They had published a paper. They are people from NVIDIA, and so they worked with generative adversarial networks, which can reproduce fake images. And yeah, let me just open this and you see some examples. Let me see if I can open it here. Yeah, you see, some of them are, it's automatically generated. So all of them are fake. And for those who likes cat, this cat does not exist. I think that's it. This cat does not, oh, sorry. They also have 4 cats as well. It's fake. So, yeah, so basically, right now you don't need to pay.
Don't believe that. It's a very real cat.
Yeah? Yeah, it's fake. It's created by a neural network.
No cat is fake.
Okay.
No intelligent cat is fake.
Yeah, so, and there is also for videos. Have you ever watched some video about that? I have some example here for, I think maybe the majority of you have also watched this video before, I would like you to pay attention.
It got me thinking about my full-time employees and their ability to survive on
Can you
$8 an hour in New York City. And foremost in all of our minds has been the loss and the grief felt by the
This is fake.
Most of us don't get our health care through the marketplace. We get it through our job, or through Medicare or Medicare. And what you should know is that thanks to the Affordable Care Act, your coverage is better today than it was before. Women can get free checkups, and you can't get charged more just for being a woman. To give his employees come together to pass a bipartisan bill that would boost America's very, very hard times.
Some progress, at least within the small confines.
And of course, it will improve over time, right? And
President Barack Obama, when you
I think you got the idea.
make sure you use a lot of positive.
America's businesses have created
You see, it's scary, right? And the thing that I can tell you is countering misinformation is really hard, right? But even though we have to be able to at least mitigate this. But so how can we mitigate misinformation? At least we could try. And so in 2016, during the American general election, a group from Russia, IRA agents, they released a lot of advertisements that focused on minority groups in US. And so in order, to manipulate them, I don't know. And so we also published this paper when we explain about this data set that was released in 2018 by the US government. And we also developed it and deployed an application. This is the demo. If you would like to open your computer as well, feel free, okay? Here we have all the ads that were released by the US government, and we can also search for the text on those ads and also rank them based on some bias thing, if whether they were under or overrepresented in comparison to the overall Facebook distribution. Let's say, let's click on this one. Okay, let's just show you the PDF first. This is what we got, and this is public available as well in the US government website. Just 1 second. Yeah, so this is what we got, a PDF with each ad in a single PDF with some image, text, and so on. And so we basically parse those content. Sorry, designers. We engineers, sometimes we don't think about, I know that there are a lot of things that we can improve here. So basically, they were telling people, let's say, to click here and to subscribe, something like that. And so there were some text. They were targeting some people that likes gun, ammo, the Second Amendment politics, US politics, and with a view more conservative, they also exclude people who like to defend the second. I don't know, maybe it's something, I don't know about this thing. And so this is what we got from the page. And so we went for, basically, we exploited the Facebook ads API as well, because as you may know, Facebook has a lot of data about you. Sometimes we also offer and give them this data, right? But they can also infer. And so, for example, they know if you are a conservative, about your political leaning, they know about your education, about your income, your gender, whether you like men or women. And so this is the overall distribution. And so for each web page, for example, let's say Facebook saved the Second Amendment, I think, we got some information about their demographic. For example, the people who liked this web page, they were more conservative in, let's say, 96.34%, but the overall distribution, it's 19, so it's like really highly overrepresented here, right? And also, in this case, more women liked this web page. There were more Caucasian, and yeah, about age and so on. Yeah, there were natives, but immigrants, they were fewer. Also, the country of origin, I don't know, and their income level. So they have a lot of information, and we exploit their tool to get some information as well in order to provide transparency, right? And you can also search, let's say, guns, and there we will show you all the ads that match with this word. And so, yeah, feel free later on to play with that as well. But after I finished my master in computer science, and I went to work in a company as a data scientist, but I really loved science, and so I couldn't stay too far from that. And I continued some collaboration with the Department of Locus department at UFMG when we created the Projeto Eleições Sem Fake, Elections Without Fake project. When we tried to provide more transparency to users because we were too afraid about what happened in US, and we couldn't allow that thing to happen in Brazil as well, right? At least, I mean, our tool here is to provide transparency because sometimes it's hard to counter misinformation and because people will believe in something that they read without pay attention who wrote that article and so on. And so, for example, we have a bunch of systems. The first one is bot or human. When basically we showed the percentage of bots or humans that promoted some content in Twitter in order to appear in the trend topics. And also we showed the amount of people and bots, the fraction with adopted this content. I mean, by adopted, I mean, once the content appeared in the trend topic, so basically they start to talk about that thing. By the way, in the trend topics, basically, once you see a content there, they could go viral, right? There is some example in Brazil when there is a evangelic bishop there, and so he released he made a movie about his life, something like that, and so a lot of newspapers said that they were also arguing that they sold out all tickets, and so really quick. However, people were reporting that the cinema was empty. How is that possible, right? And so we checked some information. For example, this hashtag, of course, this is a 1% random sample of the Twitter RESTful API, okay? So in total, let's say 238 users, they posted around 6,000 tweets, and this, about this hashtag. And so this is the amount of possible bots. We use a tool from, I think, Indiana University to infer whether a user is a bot or not. And so basically humans were engaged in order to promote that hashtag in 69%, but based on our inference, 30% were bots. And so people also start to talk about this. So you could use bots to manipulate something in order to let people know about something. And so this tool is useful to provide transparency in Twitter, to let you know at least who were responsible to create those contents on the network. Similarly, also using the Facebook Ads API, we create the Audiência das Notícias, the news audience for each newspapers in Brazil. When you can check, for example, who are the people that likes Globo, SBT, Record, and let's say Folha de São Paulo, the São Paulo newspaper, and so on. We also did for politics in Brazil, for 8 Politic, we we checked who were the people that liked their web page, their Facebook page. I can show you just one simple example. Let's say Jair Bolsonaro. Yeah, during our analysis, the majority were men who liked his Facebook page, and they came from Sudeste, Southwest in Brazil. Yeah, so we have a lot of, also the relationship of people who liked his Facebook page. So, and we have for a lot of other political candidates as well. We did similar for who were, we also did some analysis on the people who actually paid Facebook to release some ads. And we have these two. We can see we asked a lot of volunteers to install some Chrome plugin. And so our plugin monitored their Facebook access, and we gathered some data regarding the Facebook ads. If an ad appeared there for them, we crawled this ad and we stored it in our database. Of course, our volunteers, they knew about that. And so we could see a lot of ads going on, right? And we have also some statistics here. For example, who were the people who most released ads, for example, the fan page as well. And so, yeah. And as you can see, there is a peak here. It was during the Brazilian general election. And so political parties, they issued a lot of ads during this period. And finally, we also created a tool, the WhatsApp Monitor, because WhatsApp is considered as a black box, and it's really hard for you to take a look what is going on in WhatsApp. However, we took advantage on one thing that, does anyone don't know about WhatsApp? Okay, I assume that everyone knows. So basically in WhatsApp, we have the concept of public groups as well, and also private groups. So by public groups, I mean, when you create a group in WhatsApp, you can also get a URL and share in the web, let's say in Facebook or in your web page, and send to people. And so we construct a crawler that crawl all those information in order to join and gather what was going on, what was posted and shared there, about images, videos, message, URL, and so on. This system was useful for more than 100 journalists in Brazil in order to check what was going on during the Brazilian general elections. And also, we had some partnerships with some fact-checking agents when we provide them some images, and so they labeled to us. You can also check this web system. However, this web system, we made it private. Basically, we didn't make it public because there could be a lot of things there that it wasn't good, that we couldn't share. Right? And so actually we provide access for journalists with editorial line, and also to researchers under request, okay? And now I want to focus on more the research that we did with that WhatsApp Monitor tool and with that data. This work was published in a top-tier conference for computer science and also social computing and networks, the web conference in last year. So, as you may know, WhatsApp, it's largely used in Brazil, Germany, Mexico, and also in India. So it's like more than 108 countries, and only in Brazil there are more than 120 million users there. And so it's a message app. You can create organic conversations, and it's also encrypted content, right? So there is no way that you can use some man-in-the-middle attack, by the way, just try to get the information before it reaches the receptor. And so WhatsApp groups are available for people to spread their thoughts and to talk to people as well. You can create a family group and send your some hi to your family, let's say. And so it's there is no human and algorithm curator. So basically, it's like a black box, okay? And there is no control and no knowledge of reach. You don't know whether your message was shared a lot of times or not. So it's also a potential vehicle for misinformation. For example, there were some rumors in India when people got killed there because of some rumors. They spread some rumors about that children were being kidnapped in there, and so people sadly they thought that some people were the kidnappers and they killed them. Similar, it also happened, I think, in Mexico as well, and in Brazil, the WhatsApp was being abused during the general elections. In this work, we had basically two research questions. It's what kind of content is shared on those public groups in WhatsApp? And so what's the interplay between WhatsApp and the web? Are the content first appearing in the web or first in WhatsApp? What is going on there? And so for this study, we focus on political-oriented groups only, okay? And I will also describe our methodology, how we gather those data. So here's the thing. We had every WhatsApp group URL is based on that format, chat.whatsapp.com. And we also had a dictionary, let's say, a lot of words that is related to the Brazilian politics. And let's say some political party, some candidates, and so on. And so we put together those that URL, and with those each one of the words in our political dictionary, and we use the Google, Twitter, and Facebook search engines to get all the response from them. By doing that, we got a lot of groups, URLs that we could join. Some of them were invalid, they were deleted somehow, and so we select only the valid groups. So we joined each group. We had a set of 5 cell phones, and so we joined each group. And we collect all posted content there. For example, videos, URL, texts, images, and so on. And finally, we anonymize all the content, right? Because if our data set was released somehow, if there was a breach there, it could be really dangerous. And we focus on 2 main events in Brazil. The first one, it was the Brazilian trucks strike. And the second one, the Brazilian general elections. On the first one, basically the country stopped. Foods, you couldn't buy food in the supermarket. You could fuel your, you couldn't put gas in your vehicle because there was nobody to transport. They were, all the truckers, they were in a strike. So the country basically stopped. And there were a lot of fake news going on as well, and also manipulation during both events. So it was like really terrible what's happening, right? And basically, this is an overview of our data set. For each events, we got more messages and media content during the Brazilian general election because it was like we collect data for more than a month. And the majority of the contents are images. So people were sharing a lot of images within the public WhatsApp groups during that time. And yeah, I already said this, cool. And We also, in order to understand the interplay between WhatsApp and the web, for each image that we got from our dataset, we submit them to the Google image search engine in order to get some idea whether those content was first shared in the web or in the WhatsApp, right? If it was like a public image, or if it was like an old image that was shared in WhatsApp afterwards. And we did for each image. And so by doing that, we could study the dissemination of those messages in WhatsApp. Before I go into this topic, and does anyone has any question about something? Would you like to comment something? Yeah. I see, yeah. So basically, here's the thing. We joined public, what we call public WhatsApp groups. By public, I mean, when you create a WhatsApp group, you as an administrator, you can activate some option there in the group settings that will generate some URL. And so everyone that has this URL will be able to join. And you, as an administrator, you can also, let's say, post this URL in Facebook, Twitter, some web page on the web. So once you do that, everyone that sees this URL will be able to join your group, unless you delete it. That's, yeah.
I'm also interested in the WhatsApp bot tab.
Mm-hmm.
Does it work with the web version of WhatsApp, or does it work with the app version or the mobile app version of the WhatsApp?
I see. Yeah, there are two ways that you can, you mean about how we gather the information, right? Until we join the groups. There are two things. The first, and what we did, there is the WhatsApp web, right? That once you have a phone, you can open the app in your browser. And so we crawled all the information from the browser. So we could retrieve every information from the cell phone, right? This is what we did. Another thing that you can also do, but I'm not sure if it violates the WhatsApp policy, is if you have an Android phone, you can basically root this phone and have access root, and so get the WhatsApp database from the app. And there is a cryptographic key that is also in some place there, and you can have the database access, let's say. So there are two ways that you can do that, and we opt for the first one. But there are works that were published that use the second one. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions about until now? Okay, cool. So regarding the dissemination study, what is it? Yeah. So in order to understand about the content of those images in our WhatsApp dataset, we asked some volunteers to label our sample. For example, whether the image was about some political thing, some news, advertisement, satire, inappropriate, activism, opinion, and as always, others. And yeah, 10. Okay, okay, cool.
Because otherwise,
Yeah, sure.
less time for
Sure. And so during the both events, for example, in the truck drivers, there were more political content and also satire, but during the election campaign, it was highly more political, right? And there were a lot of opinions as well and activism. Yeah, there was small fractions during the truck drivers. I will accelerate a little bit, okay, guys? And we also, from the Google response, remember that we submit all the images that we got into the Google image search engine, and the majority of the pictures, the images that we got in our data set, the majority of them for both periods they were also posted in Twitter, right? And for example, during the election campaign, there were a lot of images that were also posted on Blogspot as well, Facebook, and so on. And this is about some information of the fake images in our data set. There were, on the average, there were 345 images per group. We monitored around 347 groups, I think. Yeah, and there were on average 34 users per group during the election campaign. We also used the Gephi as well, and basically this is the network during the truck driver strike. Each node is a group, and we create an edge in case those groups have users in common. And also similar for the WhatsApp during the election campaign. The highlight, what I want to highlight is that those, as you can see, those graphs, for both of them, they have communities. They also have hubs, right? We have some groups that are really strongly connected. And we also have breeds. This is a typical behavior of a social network, right? And so it's really potential for virality as well. And regarding the misinformation, we asked the Lupa fact-checking agents to label a sample of our data set. We sent to them the 61 most shared images, and basically they said to us that 36% of that sample actually contained misinformation, 53 include misleading content, and only 11% was verified as true. And we developed some methodology to automatically infer whether an image was labeled as fake or not, because some images, they were also checked for other fake-checked agents when we could search for this image, and in order to see whether this image was already labeled for some of them. If yes, we got their label and assumed it was fake or not. We can talk more about that if you want afterwards, okay? Some misleading examples. This on the left side, they shared an image which they claim I have, I think, 14? How many minutes, sorry? Okay, cool. So on the left side, they claim that that woman was Dilma Rousseff, that she was like contacting the former president of Cuba, I think, Fidel Castro. And so basically, but here's the thing, this image is true, right? But it contains misleading content because that woman is not Dilma. By that time, Dilma was 7 years old, right? And so they were sharing because in Brazil, they are discussing about socialism things, and so it's crazy there. And so also there is this fabricated image about the Bolsonaro's aggressor. Bolsonaro was stabbed during a campaign rally in Brazil, and so this image was true if you don't consider this, because they basically include the Bolsonaro's aggressor in the image in order to link Lula and the Bolsonaro's aggressor, right? And so, yeah, we had 85 unique images in our data set identified as fake content, and they were highly shared. Some few images were highly shared among all our monitored groups. And yeah, we also made analysis in order to see which group are the sender and the receiver of the information. For example, which one spread the image first and which one received it. And so basically we have some clear senders and receiver. Yes, for example, the main seeds of images with misinformation were the dark. So yeah, Bolsonaro president, Bolsonaro Nelson, and so on. I mean, I don't want to choose a side here. I'm just showing you all what we got. We also have the interplay between WhatsApp and web. So basically, on the left side, we have we gathered for around 5,000 web pages from Google when we submit those images there, and we saw that when the image was posted in the web first, it took around, on average, 400, more than a year for those images to appear in WhatsApp. However, when the image first appeared in WhatsApp, it took on average, let's say, less than 6 days to appear on the web. So, okay. Which is crazy, right? And similar we did for images that we could not check. And as you can see, images with misinformation, they spread more faster from WhatsApp to the web, okay? By the way, this is our work contribution on misinformation that we published on some international conference. And this is specific about the first work. And as conclusion, all I can tell you, countering misinformation is really hard. We should provide more transparency. I mean, at least those social media platforms, they should provide a way that we can gather easily the data in order to analyze, right? Or maybe under request, right? And so we need to do that. It's hard. We need more people work on that topic. And it will be even harder in the next few years, as you saw the video, and so it will be really complicated. And so thank you so much for your attention. I'm really happy to answer some questions also after this section. That's it. Thank you so much. By the way, if you need any more information about this study, please feel free to read the paper. And in case you have any doubt, please come talk to me. Okay?
Can we have your presentation?
Hmm?
Can we have your presentation?
Yeah, sure. I will post. I will provide them. I think I will also post on Twitter. Yeah. Cool. So follow me.
Hi. Thank you very much for the presentation. I had read your articles and we got access to the demo. And I'd like to talk more after, but just for the benefit of everyone here, how stable are the sources for the monitoring after the two slices you took? Now it's 1 year and a few months after. Do you like how do you say it? Update the groups. What's going on? How are you being able to?
Yeah. So after this study, we realized that we should improve the application. So we include more groups there. As I saw, also, I think there for more than a month, the system is not being updated, right? And I also need to check what is going on in Brazil because I'm not at GoFMG anymore, and I need to contact them to see. But after the election, there were, after Bolsonaro won the election, it was crazy, the contents that were posted. And so it's like a lot of people believe that if Bolsonaro win, they could have a gun. And so let's kill all the thugs. Come on, it's like crazy, right? And a lot of people shared some really awful images there about people shot, something like that. And so that's why we also don't want everyone to take a look at this system unless under request. And you also got access, right?
Well, yeah, following up on that, I'm not sure we might have misinterpreted the result, the search results we got, but we noticed that contents deemed inappropriate were not available through the demo. Have you deleted them?
No.
Or? Okay.
Here's the thing. During our analysis, there were some, let's say, some images not suitable for work, right? Let's say negative people or yeah, something like that. And so we used a Yahoo tool that uses a machine learning technique that analyzes each image, and these two label whether the image is suitable, I mean, if we need to show or not. And so basically for the application, if the label says that it's not suitable for work, we just replace the pointer to show another image, the image, I mean, not appropriate content, right? But we have those images, yeah. But again, we didn't take a look on that as well, on them, yeah. By the way, there were also a lot of images with that kind of left and right side. For example, hey, if you vote in political A, this is what happens, some wonderful thing, a beautiful word. But if you vote in the other one, it will be like a terrible thing that you can do for the country, or like, you know, some, I can show you some examples offline, and yeah, it's great.
Besides the timestamp for monitoring a period of time, do you think there is another way to filter by issue the results?
What's your definition?
For instance, if I want to focus on gender issues or memes about women, or
I see.
memes about Dilma, memes about, or not memes necessarily, pictures
I see.
about
Yeah,
homophobia.
I see. We don't have this functionality in our app, but for sure it could be implemented by using some machine learning deep network, something like that, to label those images, but we didn't do that yet. But we have the content, right? It's like sometimes you have data set and you don't have enough time to do all the things that you want to do, right? And so, yeah. But it's a good thing. Maybe send an email to Fabrizio. Yeah, okay, cool. And talk to him. Yeah.
Thank you for your masterclass and for your talk. It is regarding the fake images. Thank you, Elena. If you would have any suggestion, because we have this ongoing research on social bots engagement, particularly on Instagram and Tumblr. And then we already identified some images that we see, oh, those are bots for sure. And then you just brought these possibilities of like the creation of fake images. So would you have any suggestions for this particular research? How could we, you know, work with those images that we understand or we believe they might or they must be like fake and created by
artificial.
Artificial. Yes. How could we work like with those type of data?
For artificial images, it's really hard. By the way, if you want to try, there is I think in Kaggle there is a competition there, and if you sum all the price that they are offering, it's like $1 million. If you want to, because it's really hard. So they are offering a lot of money to try to identify whether image was fake generated, artificially generated. But regarding content, maybe one idea that you could at least try is to contact some fact-checking agents and get a sample of your population of images, send to them, and in order to infer what's the proportion of fake content that you have, to report also in your article, for example, just to have an idea. But about fabricated images, artificially fabricated images, it's really hard. Hard. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about how did you identify the groups that functioned as seeds of information, and do you have any theory about it? Maybe because they have more bots, more fake files. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, in each image we also have the timestamp when the image appeared in the group, right? It was first posted there. So we could, based on the timestamp, know, for example, hey, it was first shared here, so it was after shared in another group, so we could link those information together. And your second question was?
It was about theory.
I see.
Why
Yeah.
some groups were.
Yeah. We didn't touch in that context. However, my hypothesis, it's like, suppose, let's think about this. And suppose you want to promote some content. And so maybe you pay to some specific group of people and they just release those content and spread into the network, right? This could be one possible theory, but I cannot tell you 100%, unfortunately. And it's also maybe dangerous to assume some position. Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned the not suitable for work issue, and I have to ask, of course. The identification by not safe for work, safe for work, binary logic is not always like very precise, let's say. What was your experience with? Did you go through the images that were outsourced as not suitable for work and compared them?
The Yahoo too, it basically gives you some range of values from 0 to 1. And so we made we got some images that, I mean, clear was like not a proper image to show in a web platform, for example. And so we decide some threshold. Let's say if the value is higher than 0.9, we consider as a NSFW. But yeah, but again, the word not safe for work is like really open, right? What's the what do we mean, and so what's the definition? So basically, it could depends on your application. In our case, I think we assume 0.9. Yeah. But just compliment. But there are also some images that they were not correctly labeled, and so we have some risks to show something that we didn't want to as well, and we were afraid of that, and so we decided to close the app. I mean, to allow only only some specific people to access this tool, because of course, there are some images there that, as you saw in some previews slides, that also goes to web, but there are some that is really hard to show and maybe assume some risks, maybe show some image of some crime and the person was innocent, so how can we deal with that? And so, yeah.
Some images were pretty short.
Hmm?
Some of the images that are available are pretty short.
Yeah.
to violence.
Yeah, for example, there was, I don't remember the dates, but there was, I think, almost for one whole week, it was only about people that were shot dead. And so it's really shocked to see those images, you know, it's like, it's hard. You saw her, yeah.
So it was basically violence and nudity.
Yeah, blood, you know, I mean, sometimes when some robber shot down the police or vice versa, and so, yeah, it's and
Like the content filter is more refined to filter anything related to porn to the human body when in an erotic context, nipple,
Yeah.
for instance, than in a pool of blood.
yeah,
So violence doesn't get
yeah,
as much as
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I think that model, it wasn't training to identify blood for sure, and so maybe we should update it. Yeah.